We will move now to thematic block 1, bridging workforce skills shortages, innovation, data, and cooperation. This block will focus on how public employment services can respond to skill shortages through improved use of labor market intelligence, innovative service delivery, and strengthening cooperation with the education system, employers, and social partners. It will explore the role of PAS as coordinators within skills ecosystem and their contribution to aligning skills development with labor market needs. In view of the wide range of practical relevance of the presentations, experience, and solutions, within this theme, this block is structured in 2 panel discussions. First panel, Labor Market Intelligence and Skill Forecasting, will be moderated by Ms. Inga Balnanosienė, Director of Employment Service of Lithuania. Ms. Inga brings more than 15 years of leadership experience in public administration and employment policy. She has led major organizational reform as well as work on institutional strategy, human resources, and performance management, including EU-funded employment initiatives in Lithuania and internationally. Ms. Balnanosienė has served as Vice Chair of European Public Employment Services Network and has provided expert support to reform and capacity building projects across Europe and neighboring countries. Ms. Balnanosienė, please take the floor.
Dear colleagues and dear partners, a lot of great words were said during the introductory round, and a lot of promising words were said already. So we, as public service institutions, we do believe and we understand that the role of us is changing a lot. And please, allow me to start this panel with expressing my gratitude to the colleagues from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you for having us here and for this great conference, starting from the very beginning. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to the excellent WAPES team. Thank you for your support, for guiding us and having us here in the beautiful city of Sarajevo. But my great honor is to be here on the stage together with my colleagues. And I will present shortly. So today with us we have Yves Magnan, and he has been serving as a Director General of the Products and Services Directorate at La Forêt, Belgium, since 2014, and he is also a member of the La Forêt Management Board. With close to the 3 decades of professional experience spanning both the public and private sector, his work focuses on public service management, organizational transformation, and the steering of complex multi-stakeholder reform programs. In his current role, he oversees the strategic design and operational development of La Forêt's service portfolio in close coordination with regional actors and institutional partners. Thank you for being with us today. We'll also have today Sven Deverveld, who operates at the intersection of policy, data, and human potential. As a business advisory in the PAS of the Netherlands, he contributes to shaping the transition towards the skill-based, future-ready, and inclusive labor market. His work spans strategic advisory, service innovation, and public-private collaboration with a focus on some today's most presented themes: mental health and employment, regional work centers, and strengthening the connection between public institutions and the wider ecosystem. At its core, his work is driven by a clear mission: to unlock participation and address structural talent shortages to smarter, more human-centered systems. Thank you for being with us. And also, I would like to welcome Michelle van Smorenborg, who is a senior member of the Department of the Labor Market Information and Advice at the Public Employment Service in the West of the Netherlands. And also, he is an international labor market analyst. He is responsible for some nationwide research projects and international topics, such as comparing countries in the labor market trends and migration. He is a member of the Steering Committee National Project Labor Market Forecasting, and he was also a member of a temporary OECD expert group. So, and I do believe that these great experts will help us to navigate and to find the solutions, how we as Public Employment Service can improve our services, can be more human-centered, not leaving anyone behind in this digital transition, green transition, and also global processes as well. I would like to inform you that during this panel, you can write the questions using the QR code you will see on the screen, and we will get all the questions and we will try to do our best to answer to all of them. We will start the panel with the presentations, short and very concrete, and after the presentations, we will have the round of the questions, answers, and discussions. So, I would like to give the floor to Yves. Please, Yves, the floor is yours.
Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm very pleased to be here in Sarajevo. It's the first time for me and in this important meeting. And I'm also very honored to launch the first thematic block with my presentation. Today, labor market data is abundant. The real challenge is turning this intelligence into concrete actions and pathways. I will show you how we try to do this at Le Forum through 5 operational levers and a digital backbone. We are facing labor markets that are no longer linear. Skills shortages are structural, transitions are fragmented, and technologies evolve faster than systems can adapt. In this context, static matching and retrospective statistics are no longer sufficient to manage skills dynamics. This brings us to a central question. How do we move from observation to action? The answer lies in redefining what we mean by labor market intelligence and how it is embedded into service design. At Le Forum, labor market intelligence is no more a static set of indicators. It's becoming a living system built on real-time signals from labor demand and labor supply. It focuses on skills rather than on job titles, integrates progressively behavioral data from service interactions, and it's also designed to steer operational decisions. To make intelligence actionable, it must be structured. So at Le Forum, labor market intelligence is organized around 5 complementary levers that I will explain now. And together, these levers combine data, field intelligence, and sector expertise. The first lever, we call it active labor workforce management. Active workforce management is the foundation of labor supplies intelligence for us. Job seekers' profiles are created early in the registration process. They are actively completed and continuously updated. Counselor support clarifies occupational goals, broadens positioning, and when relevant, and improves skills visibility together with the job seekers. High-quality profiles are essential for effective matching and guidance. It is one of the cornerstones of our system. The second level is direct employer intelligence. We have at Le Forum a network of about 250 advisors, business counselors. They maintain daily structured contact with companies. These interactions capture immediate recruitment needs, skills shortages, and operational constraints. This field intelligence complements surveys and statistics, and it allows us rapidly to propose solutions to employers in order to recruit. Solutions such as shortage action plans, tailored matching, tailored vocational training. A third level, we call it employer surveys and shortage analysis. We launched last year BMO, such as France Travail, does it for about a few years. So with the BMO survey, we ask companies what are their expectations. Will they be recruiting next year? The question is simple. Are you going to recruit? If yes, what kind of profiles? If yes, do you have problems to recruit? What are the problems and so on? So we try to have a proactive photo of the recruitment, but we also look at what's happening with the job offers and with the profiles in the labor force. We analyze this in order to define, are there tensions on the labor market, which are the tensions on which jobs and so on. This is what we do in the level 3 of our system. For level 4, it's about vocational training. So as PES, we have a network of 50 training centers that we manage directly, but we also have a network of partners. And so each year we train about 55,000, 60,000 people, and we look monthly on the completion, certification, and placement outcomes. We look at that in order to see, is the training efficient? Can the training lead to a job and so on? So it helps us to redefine, if necessary, our training pathways or our training contents. This is an important level as far as the skills and upskilling and reskilling is concerned. The fifth level is sectoral strategic committees that we are putting in place. The idea is that sectoral strategic committees act as a decision gates. They bring together PES representatives, employers representatives, social partners, training providers to interpret intelligence collectively. The idea is then we can validate priorities, we can guide coordinated operational actions, and it ensures us legitimacy, relevance, and also alignment at sector level. So with these 5 levels, in fact, what are the expected outcomes we want to achieve? They allow us to achieve concrete outcomes. It's faster transitions to employment, better targeting of training, and also reduced mismatch. Oh, I was late, sorry. Okay, this is the good one. So labor market intelligence is used for skills-based profiling, three-dimensional matching, and an interoperable job seeker file. To create real impact, we think that labor and skills intelligence must be embedded into the digital systems and that we use daily, that our counselors, our partners, and the job seekers and the companies use daily. For instance, we use digital tools to allocate job seekers to the right support channel. Some are fully digital, others need hybrid or intensive support. Technology does not replace counselors. It enhances their judgment. It does not replace it. Counselors always confirm the right channel at the first contact with the job seeker. We are also developing, and it will be the first release, will be ready by the end of June, what we call a three-dimensional matching engine. The idea is to connect this matching engine, to connect job seeker skills, labor demand, and training options. So the idea is to propose for a job seeker a pathway. If the pathway can go directly to job offers, okay, right? If not, we look at the gaps and we will propose upskilling or reskilling to have a concrete pathway to go finally to the job that the job seeker wants to have on the labor market. We also analyze occupation by occupation in order to look at the labor reserve and the job vacancies. We compare this. We have job seekers that are positioned on an occupation, for instance, bricklayer. We look what the job offers in Wallonia says about bricklayers, and we do cross this in order to see are the profiles correct, or do they respond to the requirements or not, and it helps us to recommend pathways for upskilling, reskilling, or other actions. Finally, we are building an interoperable single job seeker file. The idea is that we decided in our strategy to tackle with our legacy systems. I guess in your PES you have the same problems. We have a lot of systems that were siloed, that were developed, that do not speak to each other. So with our job seeker file, we chose for Microsoft solution, Dynamics. We will have one and only one single file shared with partners, with job seekers, with companies, and with the counselors. And all the information will be centralized in it of the pathways and all the relevant information we need to coach and to support job seekers and companies. We have a clear view as well. We spoke about systems. Tools are only a means. They are not the end of a story. We have a clear rule: no automated administrative decisions. Algorithmic recommendations never trigger automatic administrative decision or sanctions. It's very important, and it will always be the counselor that will be deciding. He remains central as an augmented decision maker. So we may not forget, in fact, that it's all about social inclusion and human welfare. So, in conclusion, labor market intelligence only creates value when it's embedded into services and systems. And we think that public employment services must become data-driven ecosystem orchestrators, combining intelligence, digital tools, and human judgment to deliver real impact. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yves, for presenting us a very structured approach to the labor market intelligence and how we can also not only collect, not only analyze, but act based on data. And thank you for convincing us that the final decision is and should be always made by the human, by the counselor. I have one question. So how do you manage interoperability and data sharing while ensuring privacy and trust?
It's a main point, in fact, because we are looking on a strict governance. Access is limited to authorized partners. With clear rules on what data can be accessed by the partner and for which purpose. So we discuss this with partners. The objective is continuity of support. It's not giving all the data of a job seeker or of a company to everybody. No, not at all. There are rules. Each actor only sees what is relevant for him, for his intervention. The idea is that each actor in the pathway do build an answer, do propose something based on what happened before, and he sees that he will see that in the system. But clear rules on what kind of data can I see and what kind of data can I give to the PES.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer and for clarification. Michelle, now I would like to give the floor to you, and we will have the opportunity to add also the international aspect and factor to the PES, using the approach and the practice from the PES Netherlands.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yes.
There it is. Yeah, thank you very much, Inga, for your nice introducing words, and Eve, and good morning, everyone. Well, I have only a time slot of 10 minutes, so I'll make a quick start. Well, first of all, UWV, the Public Employment Service in the Netherlands, but it's not only a public employment service, it also provides benefits to many people. 1.2 million, it's not only unemployment benefit, but also disability benefit, more than 800,000, and maturity leave, sickness benefit, in total 1.2 million. That's 10% of the working age population. So we have a low unemployment rate, but many people receive benefit. My department, that's Department Labor Market Information and Advice, almost 50 staff members. We provide a lot of labor market information per region, per industry, per occupation, etc. We do research, but also it's important to disseminate this information. That's very important, communication towards counselors, for example, by presentations, by training sessions. But not only to counselors, also to policy makers in the regions at a national level as well. And, well, to the press, of course, social media. We are almost on a daily basis, we are in the press, I think. And then there's only one international labor market analyst. Guess who's that person? C'est moi. Yeah. Well, a bit about data and figures. This is about the tightness in the Netherlands. Tightness being measured as the ratio between vacancies on the one hand and unemployment on the other hand. The higher the ratio, the higher the tightness in a country. So the harder to find staff. It increased, and then COVID showed up, there was a dip, then it peaked in 2022 because of the strong economic recovery, and after that it declined gradually. There was aging, but still a decline because of lower economic growth. We see this pattern in many countries, especially in countries with a tight labor market. But the striking fact is that in the Netherlands, the level is quite high. So a question for you, what's the most tightest labor market in Europe? 1, 2, 3. The Netherlands. And this figure shows a comparison between the countries. The same indicator, the ratio between vacancies and unemployment. Netherlands, it's almost 1 as much vacancies compared to the number of unemployed persons. And then we have Malta, Germany, Norway, Cyprus. Well, I've just spoken this morning with the delegate from Cyprus, and he was confirming this high economic growth, and this leads to a lot of vacancies because of construction, etc. Then on the other hand of the spectrum, you see Spain, for example, Romania, Greece, Finland. In Spain, there are 17 unemployed persons for a vacancy. So that's a slack labor market in general. Despite this general fact, there can be, of course, in certain segments, in some regions, there can be some tightness, but in general terms, there's a slack labor market. So it varies a lot between countries. And since 2022, in most countries, it declined, also in 2025, especially in the tightest labor market. Well, this is about data and figures, but we also want to have solutions and use this as an advice for counselors, for example, towards employers. We collected 34 solutions, and one of these solutions is recruitment abroad. And I'll dive into this solution with this report of EURES, ELA, from ELA, European Labour Authority. That's an annual report, and it collects data from 28 countries, European countries. For example, 4M also delivers information about their lists of shortage occupations, and we have lists of surplus occupations. It's at a very detailed level, 436 occupations. So we get the input from all these countries. There are also some weaknesses. Well, it's a long lead time. Well, I'm a bit impatient. It lasts more than 1 year to get the results and to publish it. But the most important weakness is the method, because every country has its own method to determine whether it is a surplus or a shortage. Main result for the Netherlands. We do not have many surpluses, only 5 occupations, or six occupations, sorry, like authors and data entry clerks and pet groomers, yeah. But 193 shortage occupations, that's a lot. And sometimes we simply don't know. We have a lack of data, and a better not give this information than giving unreliable information. Now, well, this is the main slide, I think, about the presentation. At these 193 occupations, we were wondering if there are any surpluses reported in other countries for these shortage occupations in the Netherlands. And there were only 9 where there was no single country with a surplus. Only 9. So 184 shortage occupations in the Netherlands. There is at least 1 country which reports a surplus. So this is a huge challenge for labor mobility within Europe, and to untap the potential within Europe, I think. Well, you could say, well, just 1 country, that might be a small country like Luxembourg or Cyprus or Malta. So when you increase the threshold a bit to 3 countries, at least 3 countries, then it's 75%. And when you increase it to at least 5 countries with a surplus for the shortage occupations, then still 38%. So there are many opportunities, I think, within Europe to use human capital from abroad. And only 9 occupations as shown, where there is a real European problem. There's a shortage, and there's no country which reports a surplus, like nurses, for example, or specialist doctors, general doctors. These 9 only. Well, and some situations, there are only 1 or 2 countries which report a surplus. For example, welders in Finland. What else? For example, electrical engineering in Czechia and Greece. So we can give targeted advice to employers. We can say, well, you are looking for an engineer, for example. Well, go to and try to find them in Czechia or Greece. And we only give this advice when there is a surplus. So it could help both countries in reducing the surpluses in that particular country and reduce shortages in the Netherlands. To wrap up a bit and to come to a conclusion, well, we use a lot of international data, Eurostat, OECD data, several international agencies who provide information about employment rates, unemployment rates, retirement age, percentage of employees having a temporary contract, just to make clear the specific situation of a country, the features, the specific characteristics of the Netherlands. We get more and greater insight in developments, European-wise. This is also important for migration. Sometimes we hear about best practices, policy measures in other countries, or other research methods, forecasting, or how to determine, for example, skill shortages or surpluses. So we learn from other countries as well. That's an advantage. And fourth, we use this information for EURES. Well, in Europe there are 1,100 EURES advisors. In the Netherlands about 70, and they use this information for advising employers, and they can say, well, you are looking for a certain profile for a role. It cannot be found in the Netherlands. You might look in another country. This is the country with a surplus. So it gives a really targeted advice. And last but not least, it's also useful for shaping employment policy for third country nationals, because when there is enough supply within Europe, an employer will not get permission. So there will no permission issued. So that's it. This is, you could scan this one. That's to my LinkedIn. I'm quite active at LinkedIn, being labeled as top voice, they said. So I make a lot of posts in Dutch, but also sometimes in English. So you could follow me, and then when you have certain questions, please ask at LinkedIn or just ask me. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michel, for your extremely interesting and important presentation, and also for highlighting one important message for public employment services. So we are not on the national ecosystem any longer, but we have to act and react immediately, also using the cross-border dimension of labor market intelligence. And I have one proposal for the Netherlands, as you have the surplus of pet groomers. We
Yes.
have a demand of this occupation.
Okay.
So after the conference, we have to start the immediate cooperation
Yes.
and exchange of this labor force. But I also have another question. You presented the research and the outcomes of it, Are there any wishes regarding to improvement of this research?
Yeah, I could say yes, this is the case. And, there can be made some improvements of this investigation, and we are really working on this. The ELA is working on this, and sometimes I'm able to give some advices. And it improved already a lot, but it's still based on different methods. Every country has its own method, and sometimes it's a very nice and sophisticated method, and sometimes, well, could be improved, I think. And so this varies a lot, and some only use, for example, the submitted vacancies, and others, which is the trend, to use online vacancies. We have nice web spidering tools, etc. But there is that problem with the representativeness of this. So, for example, in the Netherlands, we have a weighting procedure to compensate for this. So that we worked more than 8 years on this. So it needs a lot of knowledge. But, well, together at ELA or also bilateral between countries, well, we could help and support each other.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to kindly remind us that we have the platform, and you can ask also the questions. But now I would like to give the floor to Sven, and we will add another important dimension to our panel. So Sven, the floor is yours to present a very concrete and ground-level practice of the Netherlands.
Thank you. Yeah, our moderator posed a critical question like, how do we act? So we know about these skill shortages, but how do we act upon it? And today I will share about the Netherlands is responding to these challenges, also responding to the rapidly changing labor market. And I will highlight 4 key solutions which we are implementing today as a PAS. And I hope this will inspire you and also spark a discussion. These key topics are the regional work centers, data-driven multi-stakeholder labor market agendas, knowledge-driven policy making, and also a skills-based ecosystem. So let's start with the reform and towards the regional work centers. The Dutch labor market is complex and fragmented. There's one national public employment service which manages unemployment and disabilities. But we also have 342 municipalities which are responsible for social assistance. But they all have their unique rules, priorities, but also local political influences. Then funding, it comes from public, private, but also shared sources. But what we see is strict organizational boundaries. We see separate budgets. We see minimal legal cooperation. And all these things create barriers to collaborate efficiently. I think that is familiar. And the result, job seekers and employers, they are drawn into a sea of services, brands, methodologies, and instruments. And we know this collaboration is essential, but how do we break down these barriers? And how do we align the stakeholders and create a cohesive system? To address this fragmentation, our Minister of Social Affairs and Employment initiated in the beginning of this year a transition towards these regional work centers, and they serve as a one-stop shop for job seekers and employers. And this is regardless the type of benefit you receive. So these centers, they address all questions towards work and learning, and they offer free services as job search assistance, HR-related questions for employers, career advice, training and learning opportunities, and financial debt support, and much more, everything about work and learning. Public-private cooperation is the cornerstone of these centers, with collaborations such as partnerships with educational institutions and the social partners. Everyone is welcome. Employers with HR-related questions, but also clients, whether you're on benefit or you're not on benefit, whether you're unemployed or employed and looking for a new role, so from work to work, so to speak. First-line service, trained guides, they warmly welcome everybody, providing real quick assistance or referring them to the best expert from one of our regional partners. And the core principle is no wrong door, no matter how you enter. So you enter online, by phone, or in real life, you always will be redirected to the right help. The reform nominates 35 municipality centers acting as regional hubs, together working in partnership with the Public Employment Service. So together we will establish at the latest in 2027 these regional work centers, creating a unified system to ensure this working together and accountability on it. All the partners in the background, they form a network. So it's not a new organization. I want to repeat, it's not a new entity, but it is a network of existing partners and special councils with all the network members. They design and implement together a shared data-driven agenda. This labor market infrastructure is, this reform is also used to restructure policy-making plans to be as knowledge-driven and as data-driven as possible. And the shared agenda of the network partners behind the regional work centers is built on 3 key pillars. So each addressing a specific set of challenges. So you have the social challenges. We aim to improve labor market participation for vulnerable groups, ensuring that no one is left behind. Economic challenges, our focus is on matching labor market supply and demand, really to support economic growth and stability of vital sectors. There's this one. And then the third one is educational and developmental challenges, where we promote lifelong learning, like reskilling or upskilling to future-proof our workforce. Well, to bring this vision to life, we develop a 5-year policy agenda to set a strategic direction. And this is complemented by a 2-year implementation agenda, where we really addressing how it's financed, how it's organized, how it's monitored, and how it is evaluated. Well, this slide, if we move further, is exploring how this data-driven decision-making was applied in 4 pilot regions. The question was, in these pilots, to what extent professionals can make use of knowledge-driven policy choices based on labor market data. Well, the outcome? Data-driven working does not stop at dashboards and trends. Data need to reach the right professional, for example, policymakers. So collaboration and organizing the right relationships are as important as great online data solutions. Number 2, Data needs a permanent place in a well-structured policy cycle. Data should be used in every phase of this policy making. So not only at the start, but also everything in between, from the formulation of the challenge and also the adjustments of the policies. Number 3, collaborate closely with at least the data advisor and the data analyst from the public employment service, the data analyst of educational institution, and the data analyst of the center municipalities, and really try to understand each other's perspectives and figures. Data encourage dialogue and has really the power to create alignment among stakeholders. And data-driven working is more than just a step in the process. It requires really also a cultural shift within teams. It's really like working together and constantly looking with each other on the changing data. And don't think in hierarchy, but involve the data department with every step in policy making. It's a constant, never-ending mutual exchange. We're also going to talk shortly about skills-based approaches, artificial intelligence, and also the rise and emerge of these skills taxonomies. They really make it possible now to have this real skills-based labor market. But yeah, what is it, a skills-based labor market? It's more than just looking at the skills of people. And this slide highlights skills-based approaches in public employment services. This is explored in the PES Network's thematic paper. This is available as a free download on the PES Network website. It's just published just 1 month ago. And if we look at this skills-based approaches, it focuses on the individual's ability instead of only the formal qualifications. This has been discussed before. But it's also a way to tackle these mismatches by expanding opportunities for those without formal education. So if we look at what is needed, what we see that for a skills-based labor market, you need good, first, good skills matching tools. You need one skills language. You need employers who accept skills-based matching. You need employers who don't grip back to old traditional CVs and old diplomas. You need skills-based education. You need trustable skills-based validation. And you need also a governance and a framework in order to create this skills-based labor market. So these are all required blocks which you need, and you need a contribution from various stakeholders to create this. And maybe to tell you quickly where we are in the Netherlands now in this creating this ecosystem. Well, a skills matching tool is almost ready for PES. We worked 4 years on it with a private IT company creating to help us with this building, but we faced many problems. We can ask, we can discuss this during the break if you want to know, because this is a separate presentation. You also need a skills language. Well, that one is ready in the Netherlands. It is functioning. If we look what we do with employers, we just recently signed a shared skills agenda with the employers union. We also signed an agenda together with the Vocational Educational Training Center Council. And we do a small pilot on this validation of skills, but this is just in the beginning phase. So one thing what is also missing in the Netherlands is really the coordination of this skills ecosystem. You need strong leadership and also political commitment to get this done. My last slide is about the skills. In the skills ecosystem, you also need a skills language. And as I thought, this one is now fully operational. Competent NL is the official Dutch standard. It is based and linked to ESCO. It's an open public database designed to describe in a consistent way the skills of the workforce. It is initiated by the central government and is launched in September last year. It functions as a common skills language to map out exactly what people know and what they are capable of, regardless of their formal education and certifications. So how it works, Competent NL acts as a skills dictionary. It breaks down really all the professions, training programs, and job vacancies into specific interchangeable skills and knowledge areas. So, and it links these skills directly to the vocational educational qualification structure, the VET. And I think this skills-based labor market is now setting the scene also for lifelong learning. I think this is a unique feature. I believe you don't see it a lot in the EU, that it is linked to the vocational educational qualification structure. We know now exactly if you miss a skill for a certain job opening, we know as a pass what is your skills gap, but we also know where you have to go to learn this specific skill, in which educational public and private center you have to go to train this skill. Well, maybe last question, when is this ecosystem of skills-based labor market really fully adopted and mainstream? If you ask PhD or research assistants at the universities, they will say, maybe it will take 15 years from now on till it's fully mainstream. So, but this can be discussed whether this is true or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Sven, for this practical approach. You mentioned a very important key takeaway message from my point of view. You mentioned that in the Netherlands you are missing the coordination of the skills management, and I think all of us will at least all of us will agree that the coordination of the skills management is the challenge not only in the Netherlands, but in many countries. However, I have very concrete question, very short and concrete question to you. So we are talking a lot that we are collecting data, we are sharing data, we are publishing, and so on. So how to prevent that data analysis is still remaining, sometimes it seems, as a black box for our policymakers? What we could do better?
Yeah, thank you. That is an interesting question. How to prevent data of being underused? What we saw in pilot regions, that if you create dedicated working groups like data task force to pre-process the data and before you bring it to a broader audience, because sometimes it feels overwhelming. Maybe you get this report, 80 pages, here you have, and then you think, or a PowerPoint slide of 60 slides with raw data. And it's better to first analyze it and then present it to a smaller policy experts, but also with counselors together, and really interpret the data. So it's to avoid overwhelming and then presented to a broader audience. And also our data department gives 50 minutes presentations, Michel already said it, directly to the frontline staff, like pest counselors. So in this way, they have top of mind the data, and this can really help in the daily decision making. And also the last one, it is maybe good to offer master classes about how to read dashboards, how to interpret data. So this ensures that everybody has the tools, but also has the confidence to use data meaningfully.
Thank you. It could be also the as a basic course offered by PES for open for the society, how to use and how to interpret it. Data. Thank you, Sven, for your presentation and the remarks. I would like to open now the floor to the audience. Do we have any questions, remarks, feedbacks to our panelists? I don't see any hands raised so far, so perhaps I would like come back to you, Eve. We cannot skip the AI component in this panel, so I would like to ask you how we could ensure that AI and digital tools do not lead to automated decisions or to negative effects.
That's really a challenge indeed. So we set up an ethical committee inside of Le Forum, which meets every 3 months in order to look at the evolution of the systems, and also we will be measuring the quality of the action plans and the quality of the intervention between counsellors and job seekers. This is the role of the management in order to ensure that our counsellors do not only push on a button without thinking about the recommendation coming from AI. But we must have indeed rules, and this ethical internal committee will be one of the committee we will use, and we will also extend it in the coming months to external experts that will come and join us in order to give advice before developing, to say, okay, you want to do that, okay, is it interesting or not? And we also have legally we must also formally explain what we do with AI to a regional committee that must accept what we do. So we have that kind of processes.
Thank you. Michel, we have also a question to you from the audience on occupational shortages. So which data sources do you rely on? How often are you updated, and how updated they might be by the time of release?
It depends. It depends a lot. For example, for Eurostat data, which I showed about the tightness and comparing countries, that's updated at a quarterly basis. Also employment rates, unemployment rates. In most cases, this is at quarterly basis. So that's pretty up to date. For this research, I showed the ELA research. That's on an annual basis. And there is a certain lead time. So some countries, they collected the data in the first half of 2025 and being published in June 2026. So that's more than 1 year between this. It's a bit long. So I would suggest to improve the lead time, for example, by publishing the dashboard first and writing the report later on, or other solutions to improve the lead time. But I must say, it's not the most important challenge because many shortage occupations and also surplus occupations are quite robust over time. So when you have a shortage in 1 year, you probably also have a shortage next year. So it's more important to improve the methods.
Okay, thank you. Sven, we have also one question to you. You presented and also told us about the need to cooperate with the different partners. What are the main challenges from the perspective of yours in this cooperation?
Yes, that is an excellent question. What we see is that our professionals are not trained on how to work together. As a PES, we don't have a professional methodology on how we work together with partners. We don't know. We just do it. And there's no professional framework for it. Even I had to go on a course, even a university course, a module, to learn how to work together with other organizations. It is really a skill. So in the Netherlands, we recently built a professional methodology on how we want to work together with other institutions like municipalities, social partners, educational institutions. And we see that everybody thinks, the management, the professionals, that they can work together, but they don't know because we always were having internal KPIs. We didn't have external KPIs and we're not trained. Our professional staff who works together in collaborations have to go on trainings to how you present yourself, how you work in a network. Because in a network, for example, nobody is the big boss. So you cannot decide on your own. You have to have a certain skill to work together.
If you are very popular today, I have another two questions for you. So while measuring training impact, do you base it on kinds of skills that training is targeting? Digital skills, language skills, vocational skills, or other components?
I would say when we look at, we measure certification, we're working with learning outcomes. And there we look by learning outcomes, and it's close to the competence, the skills you mentioned. We have that kind of control in order to see, is the certification completed, fully completed? If not, we go and look deeply in which are the skills that are not certified. This is one example. The other, the placement rate is different. There we look at, I want somebody, a job seeker is training for bricklayer, as I said, and we looked at how many job seekers within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months are inserted on the labor market. And we have a percentage. And then with the ones that are not inserted, we make surveys, we do contact them to see, look, you follow the training of bricklayer, 12 months later you still job seeker, did you had problems? And then we look at deeply what kind of problems are there. And they tell us about, is it a skills problem, is it an experience problem, because we know employers say you don't have any professional experience, so I don't want to recruit you. Is it a skills problem? Some employers says you are trained, but look, you don't have the skills. And so we we try to capture that in order to redesign the training or to propose additional upskilling to the job seekers.
And one more question, what was the main challenge in bringing digital tools you have mentioned in your presentation into a unified ecosystem?
Our main challenge, as I said, we had some, I guess, a lot of institutions, an horrible legacy IT architecture with several tools. For instance, our counselors, if they had to open 10, 15 screens in order to have a complete view of a job seeker. So the challenge was to say, no, we go for something more simple, but we need to go and fetch the data where they are today. And so it was a huge technical transformation in order to say, we stop with the 15 screens, you will have 1 or 2 screens tomorrow, but then the challenge is how do we make sure that the functionalities of the legacy systems are still there, and that the data become in the IT, remains in the integrated IT systems.
Thank you. Michelle, I think you could answer this question. What is the bigger problem? The quality of the LMA available, or the likelihood of different labor market actors of using it to shape the decisions?
Very good question. I think, yeah, it's hard to decide on this because when you have rubbish, the information is not good. You better not communicate it. So you really need good information, reliable relation. That's one, but also valid. That's most of the time that's a problem. It's not valid because it's measuring something else, or it's not representing what you want to measure. That's a real problem. So it's really a challenge to get the right information, valid, reliable, up to date. And once you have it, when there's no information available, you better not communicate it. And I have sometimes some doubts with forecasting information in 2040, 2050, 2060, just name it. But it's, well, I doubt if it's will be the situation in 40, 50 years. So better have no information than unreliable one, I think. But once you have this good information, it's really important to have this communicated in proper ways and targeted at different groups, because not everyone is a statistician. So you make it with visuals, with social media, with nice ways of communicating this. That's very important to make it digestible. And that's also a challenge. So both is important.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing, and also thank you for the audience for asking the questions. We are moving to the closing of our panel. So I would like to ask you to be very concrete and short, but also to share one main key take away message, or one very concrete and short remark to close the panel. Sven, could we start?
Yeah, like what I said last, like this collaboration, and to train yourself in how to collaborate professional with other institutions. I would really encourage you, and we know that it's research that half of the collaborations also in private companies, they are broken because people don't know how to work together. So train yourself and educate yourself in it, and share your insights also with us. So as a European Union, we can learn and how we can professionally work together on the topics which we are responsible for.
Thank you. Michel?
Well, we still have 13 million unemployed persons in Europe. 13 million. 27 million labor market slack. That's a broader definition. 27 million, that's a lot. That's a lot. And the research shows that there are in some countries there are shortages, other countries there are surpluses, even for the same occupations. So there's a lot of untapped potential, I think. And well, we really need more labor mobility to solve both problems, to reduce unemployment in those countries and reduce shortages in the tighter labor markets of Europe.
Thank you. And Eve?
I would say that labor market intelligence only matters when it helps to change reality, when it helps to steer services and to define and redesign services. It must be used not only a beautiful publication with all figures, do something concrete with it, and that's the idea of the sectoral councils in Wallonia. We discuss about all the LMI contents with the sectoral branches, with the social partners, in order to have an aligned vision of the labor market. So it must be used.
Thank you for your important messages. And thank you again for the rich and practical contributions during this panel. It was a great honor and a great pleasure to moderate this panel. And what I take from this discussion is that skills shortages cannot be solved by one institution alone. And all these practices, all remarks you shared gives us only the evidence on it. And also for past leaders, the message I think is also clear. Our role is evolving from matching supply and demand to coordinating skills responses, supporting transitions, cross-border thinking, and helping labor markets become more resilient. Thank you again for all of you. I hope also for the audience, these discussions and the presentations will give useful ideas. And thank you once again to the organizers. I wish fruitful discussions and even more ideas after these 2 days. Thank you.